Uncertainty about continued federal funding formed the backdrop to the annual gathering of representatives from Vermont's nonprofit organizations at the State House last Thursday, March 23rd. The proposed budget cuts in federal funding announced a few weeks ago by the Trump administration in their budget proposal for the coming fiscal year would not only impact the state budget and Medicaid, which rely heavily on federal funding, but also support for non-for-profit organizations that perform many vital services for Vermonters. From the arts to early education and other community groups, these organizations are vital to the state's quality of life. The representatives of the more than 50 organizations taking part in the event were told by Governor Phil Scott, Speaker of the House Mitzi Johnson, and Senate President Pro Tem Tim Ashe.
Came in this year, and I think if we had had a different result in the presidential election, our approach to cleaning up Lake Champlain might have looked and felt differently. We have a problem of cleaning up our lake, which is it's estimated at about $120 million in public effort a year, okay? What the newspapers will frequently say is 60 million in state money is needed, and that's because we're counting on 60 million in federal money. Well, when the Trump administration proposes a 30% reduction of the EPA, some people might think, oh, some geeks who look at spreadsheets all day are going to lose their jobs. But what that actually means is the money we've been counting on from the federal government is going to be like evaporated, to use a water metaphor.
It's in every decision, every policy we take. And that is, the first is, how do we make Vermont more affordable? How do we grow the economy? And how do we take care of the most vulnerable? So 3 very simple principles that really do guide us every single day. And every day when I think about what we are up against, I think about 3 numbers as well, 6, 3, and 1. And the 6 represents, on average, we have 6 fewer workers in our workforce every single day, 6 fewer than we had yesterday. We have 3 less students in the K-12 education every single day on average than we did the previous day. And we have 1 baby born to addiction every single day. So those are the challenges that we face. And it doesn't mean that there is not opportunities. I believe there are, but we're going to have to focus on areas where we can get the most good. And that's why I keep talking about the economy, the growth, trying to restore the demographics of our state, trying to invite more of our youth to stay, trying to attract more families to come into Vermont.
According to one chart distributed at the conference, more than $4.7 million in direct federal dollars flow into Vermont, helping numerous organizations to offer services they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. But they cast a cloud of concern among those attending the nonprofit legislative day. The point surfaced often during the panel discussions held at the State House. The event was organized by Common Good Vermont, which is run by the CCTV Center for Media and Democracy and serves as a network center for Vermont's nonprofits. Lauren Glenn Davidian, Vermont Common Good's executive director, described the purpose of the conference.
I think that all nonprofits worry about their efficiency and how effective they are and if they're making a difference. And we've really tried to focus on providing the tools and the resources for nonprofits to be able to answer those questions and improve not only the way they work, but the impact that they have. And so the federal challenge really is just one more wave that requires organizations to ask hard questions, how to be effective and efficient. And as Martha Maxim said today, that might mean trying to think about how to merge within another organization. That might mean thinking about hiring somebody else who actually can help you generate unrestricted money. I mean, these are important questions, and really the role of Common Good is to help the nonprofits understand what are the questions to ask, and then to point the way to the resources that are available. And that way, whether it's the fraying of the social safety net that year after year we've had in the state of Vermont, where there's been level or declining funding for the work that we do, or if it's this new wave of federal cuts, we're ready to do it and we're ready to deal with it, and that's really the focus of Common Good Vermont.
Dorset resident and select board member Liz Ruffa was one of the principal organizers of the conference, and she gave a presentation on social impact bonds. These are a new financing mechanism that brings together private and public partners to address pressing social needs that are going unmet by both the public and private sectors. Ruffa said that these instruments could have a local application here in the Northshire.
Absolutely, we're looking at public health and nutrition as one potential interest area, working with the hospital and with the Farm to Plate Network and the food bank. Certainly for housing, there are some very interesting things that could be done. That I think was where we first dove in, was to look at these voucher programs and look at these rental assistance programs and think about how we could turn the curve and get some new housing in place that would set people up in a much better way to have a productive life.
Among the data to be absorbed by those attending were long-term trends like healthcare costs continuing to grab a larger share of state spending, and that taxable revenue growth has lagged behind economic growth, reflecting the changing nature of Vermont's economy. The state's tax structure hasn't caught up yet with the growth of services as a bigger part of the economy. Along with updates on the state budget and long-term economic trends, which show wages in Vermont on average only just now returning to their pre-2008 recession levels, those attending heard information on tools and techniques to help them get their message out to communicate with a broader public. Amy Silver of Bennington Sunrise Family Center, which runs programs involving child care and employment counseling, said that gatherings like these were useful and important.
Oh, it's definitely worth coming up here. It's always worth coming up to Nonprofit Day in the legislature because we get to network with our friends who are working in the nonprofit area. We always get a little bit of a boost, encouragement, sense of appreciation for the work that nonprofits do. And I think it also fires people up because it reminds us of how much of an uphill battle we have. The governor talked about appreciating what we do and that we all need to work together and we have tough choices. And the reality is that Vermont would grind to a halt without the nonprofit, the 19% of us working, because nonprofits are doing the work in Vermont that state workers aren't being asked to do because they're also overwhelmed. And we're doing it for about 40 cents on the dollar. So the state of Vermont is getting a tremendous deal from us, and it's created a real, there's a real struggle for us to say, you need to support us, we need more money, because we're doing so much work and we're doing such a great job. And they say, oh, you're doing such a great job on no money, so just keep doing it.
During the afternoon, members sat in on several House and Senate committee hearings as lawmakers worked on bills that might have an eventual bearing on their work. For the GNAT TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.